Hello everyone and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today we're going to talk about the sea. The sea is often used as a metaphor for living. So by talking about the sea and describing it, we can often talk about maybe issues or problems that we have in our lives. Let's talk first of all about the physical description of the sea. So, for example, if we think about the colour, it's a kind of aquamarine colour, isn't it? And then we can also think about its movements. It fluctuates. The tide comes in and out. It's not static. It changes. We can say whether it's deep or shallow. And we can also talk about how the waves come in. We could describe those in detail. When the waves are coming onto the beach, if they're very strong, we sometimes talk about them billowing. Billowing. That's B-I-L-L-O-W. I-N-G. So the waves sometimes billow. If we talk about the sea as a metaphor for living, we can often talk about the sea as being unfathomable. Unfathomable. That means that there's many mysteries in it that we don't yet understand. What's hidden in its depths, is a little bit like what we are capable of in our daily lives. Because Britain is an island, we make many references to the sea, both in idioms as well as just using the sea for things like boats. So the sea has quite a powerful place in the imagination of British people. Let me give you a couple of idioms that we use. For example, he's like a fish out of water means that he doesn't really feel comfortable or know what he's doing in his current circumstances. So I could say, for example, oh, my new colleague, well, he's better than the last one. The last one was like a fish out of water. He just didn't know what he was doing. When you move to a new country, you can also say that, whoa, I'm like a fish out of water here. I'm trying to work out what everything is and where I belong. So that's one. Another one could be something like, he's a big fish in a small pond. It's usually a reference to someone who has a lot of ego, but could be upsetting other people around him in a small place, or someone who has ideas way better than others, perhaps, but he's no way really to express them because the people around him might be small-minded. I can say that perhaps, oh, my boss is a big fish in a small pond. It means that he can easily upset other people. So you see, a big fish in a small pond has a number of meanings. It can talk about someone who's bright with too many ideas. It can talk about a really ambitious person as well. So it's something to remember. A really common one is to say, the coast is clear. The coast is clear. That means I can do whatever I want right now because there's no one around to stop me. This phrase often comes up in detective movies where the evil criminal is looking around the corner, for example, and his friend says, "Go, do it now. The coast is clear." It means there's no one around to stop you. It can be used in an innocent way as well. So if you imagine, for example, going to the kitchen and you look around and you think, My mother is not here to stop me doing this thing that I'm going to do. And you say, the coast is clear, I'm going to eat the cake. She will never know. So the coast is clear means there's no one around that can get in the way. So I'm going to do this. Usually we hear it when someone is going to do something. They first of all look around. The thing doesn't have to be a bad thing. For example, in detective movies, it's always a bad thing. But if you imagine a policeman rushing to the scene of a crime, he might say to his companion, "Oh, look, the coast is clear. Let's burst in and surprise the criminals." The coast is clear. And the last one I want to tell you about is a whale of a time. You know the animal whale? If you have a really good time somewhere, whether it's in the pub, in an English lesson, something that made you feel good, you can say, "Oh, that was so good. I had a whale of a time." A whale of a time. So those are some strange idioms. But as I mentioned, we use the sea a lot in literature. Another common phrase we often use is "still waters run deep." And that's how we describe someone who maybe is a bit of a thinker, someone who has very deep thoughts about life and these things. So, for example, what do you think about John? "Oh, still waters run deep." And that's all we say. We don't say "his still waters" or anything like that. "Oh, our new colleague's really nice, isn't he?" "Oh, yeah, still waters run deep." He doesn't say much. So it's about someone who thinks a lot. So there's many, many other things you can do to talk about the sea and how it is. But usually we make direct comparisons, His mind is as deep as the sea, for example. You'll see that in literature as well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and let's talk again soon. See you all. Bye-bye.